Hello and welcome to This Week in Bitcoin. There are a lot of interesting news that happened this week, some with a speculative nature, others with an unfortunate nature. So let's get stuck in right away. News number one come out of the USA again, and that's where we have an interesting take by Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, where they're interested in now auditing Fort Knox. In case you didn't know, Fort Knox is the ultimate hub and gold reserve in the US, where the gold of the US Treasury is stored, which is roughly around 2% of the world's gold holdings. An incredibly important aspect to, if you're especially a gold bug, as to think if the gold is actually in there. And over the years, there have been these rumors that the US Treasury actually never had the full amount they claim in these vaults. Now going forward, because of an ex-post, Elon Musk was aware of Fort Knox, where someone said like, hey, it has not been audited in decades, why doesn't Doge look at this? And he thought at first, well, that surely must be audited every year, where as to he found out, nope, that's not the case. So now Doge is looking into Fort Knox, and there are a few interesting scenarios that could play out if, let's say, the gold in Fort Knox's buildings is not there, or only portion of that gold is there. First of all, obviously, is a lack of trust. If the US Treasury claims to have roughly around 4,800 tons of gold in there, and they only have half of it, or even worse, nothing, you would obviously not trust the Treasury anymore. Not only as a citizen, where you go like, hey, why is the government lying to us? But also as investment vehicles and investment companies who are often, buying T-bills, 10 years, all of these assets and all of these bonds that the Treasury is also issuing, because they're issuing debt, and through this they're actually refinancing their whole structure. All of that is sort of backed by the gold reserves and the reserves they claim to have. So if they don't have that, or only portions of it, trust goes out of the window, potentially not a lot of trading involved in the T-bills, the 10 years and all of these things, and people will look for alternatives. I firmly believe people will look to Bitcoin as an alternative because unlike gold, you can actually verify where it is, who owns it, and you can really own it outright. The second option then is in the gold department. If the gold is now not in there, only half in there, some of it in there, you would also have an incredible reaction in the gold market. Most gold bugs are certain if gold were not to be in Fort Knox, it would actually be a positive for the gold price. The price would increase because somewhere along the lines, that gold that should have been in Fort Knox would have been taken out and actually distributed into the open market. Whether or not the gold price would rip and the US dollar would be weakened, or people would lose trust in Treasury and look for alternatives like Bitcoin, we'll need to wait for that. However, once Doge announced that they're actually going to investigate and audit Fort Knox, you saw a lot of transactions out of the Bank of England's vaults. The Bank of England is usually holding a lot of gold for other countries or other entities, and they were being shipped back to New York. So does that mean that Fort Knox is in trouble? And Doge is now looking into it. We'll need to wait for that, but it's definitely interesting to see that all of these beliefs we had over decades, gold in Fort Knox, have now been questioned and are potentially a good thing for Bitcoin. Second news are out of Texas, where the Texas Bitcoin Mining Council has released a report looking and investigating at how the US Bitcoin mining industry is contributing to the overall space. Not only from a financial standpoint, so they looked at how many states in the US are actually mining, what are their profit margins, what are their gross margins, how are they actually employing people, and how does that stack up towards the global mining network. But throughout that research, they also found out that the Bitcoin mining industry is a great resource for local communities to get jobs and to really kickstart local economies. We Bitcoiners knew that Bitcoin mining was a net positive for the environment because you can use stranded and harvest energy. However, looking at that report now, in the US alone, over 31,000 jobs have been created solely in the US Bitcoin mining business. While there are states like Texas who are at the frontier of all of that mining, it's very interesting to see that all of these local communities that now exist because of mining facilities have actually increased their economic output. People are now employed, people are working, and people are contributing towards the economy. We all knew that, as I said, Bitcoin mining is positive for the environment, but now we've also seen that it's a gross net for the local economies, and I'm eager to find out how these numbers will increase in the coming years. And then last but not least, we also have to talk about a rug pull involving Javier Milei, the Argentinian president, because although he's done everything in the libertarian department, he's reduced all of his government agencies, he's reduced inflation, he brought the country back on track. With one X post, he now basically destroyed all of that legacy. In a now deleted X post, Milei posted about Libra, a altcoin project that comes out of the private sector, which he supports because private companies should help out in the public spending department, and it will free them up the entire country of Argentina. To then turn out that that was a meme coin, and that meme coin got rug pulled by individuals who either got in early, mostly before the token launched, and they got a little bit of attribution there, or they bought a lot of the token early, tried to manipulate Milei to post that post, price ripped, they take out the profit, people are left over. That maybe now have huge ramifications for Milei himself, where voices for impeachment are incredibly high, and also voices on the other end to look into a jurisdictional investigation to see whether or not Milei actually broke the law. It would have been that simple, Javier. You should have said afuera to the meme coins and the rug pulls and solely focused on Bitcoin, because there were Argentinian Bitcoiners reaching out, and you even spoke to Mr. Bukele in El Salvador. However, you decided to do otherwise. And let's hope that Milei doesn't have any more troubles from these decisions, and for next time, it's probably best to just study Bitcoin. And with that, we're at the end of this week in Bitcoin. You know the drill. If you've got questions, feedback, or just want to say hello, leave me a comment below, and I look forward to seeing you next week again.